Hello, hello, hello. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. Today I want to talk about something. I talked about it before, but today I've realized something, and it's actually something that is actually a little different. Now I say it differently. Culture shock in the Philippines. What exactly is culture shock? Culture shock is when you get off the airplane and you go, oh man, I didn't know they did that like that. Or you ride somewhere and you go, oh man, I didn't know they did that. First is you ride in a taxi here. It's a little bit different. They start out the meter $1, and it may end at $2, $3, $4 or $5 compared to $10, $20, and $30 and $40 in U.S. I remember paying for a taxi one time. It cost me $20 to go 2 kilometers. So, and I didn't know it was 2 kilometers. I thought it was further than that, and of course he did not say. So be prepared for things like that. You can fix my camera here. I don't know what's going on with this little stand I've got made up here. It's not really doing like I want it to be, but that's okay. We'll make it work. I see there's something blocking it. So, but today what I want to talk about is culture shock. So culture shock in the Philippines is something that fire. And what I mean by that is they make fire for cooking. And an important thing, you don't really think about it, but how do they cook? They cook with fire here, especially in the province. They do in Manila too. Don't let them fool you. They still cook with fire in Manila. They have what's called dirty kitchen outside back of the house, and they cook with fire or propane, but usually it's fire. Water showers. You take cold water. A lot of places don't have hot water unless it's in the hotels. So no hot water, and you take it with a scoop and you stand in the bathroom with a toilet and everything all in one, and the drain is in the center, and hopefully it's big enough for you. The very first shower I have is not big enough for me. I could barely turn around in it. So we had to revamp and actually had to move because of it. Rice every meal. You're going to have rice every meal. Expect the unexpected, and that is rice at every meal. Fish, usually at every meal. If you don't like rice and fish, you have to find another source of food. And it's real easy to do that. You just go to the store and buy whatever you want. But the store necessarily doesn't have all the things that you want. I went to go get ground beef at Robinson's. They didn't have it. Go figure, right? No beef. No fish. Those chickens are small. They're about the size of pigeons here. They're a little bit bigger than pigeons. And I'm talking the standard pigeon that we have in U.S. Traffic lights. Oh, we're getting traffic lights now. No jaywalking in some areas of the Philippines. You cannot jaywalk no more. They have tickets. They have enforcers. You can actually not jaywalk. Get this. Some areas are saying, okay, if you have an animal, we want to put a leash on it. So if you have an animal. And dogs now, they're actually picking up a lot of the animals around in some of the areas, especially here. Now, you go to an area here and it'll be full. And you go another area, you don't see any dogs. But it's just how they're getting to it. They're just getting to it. And they're actually cleaning it up. But when I first moved here, where I live now, there was probably, 40, 50 dogs around. Now I'm lucky to see 2, 3, 4. Air conditioning. No air conditioning. Only in the malls, unless you have it in your house. But if you're going to go to a lot of people's houses, they don't have air conditioning. Be prepared. Always bring your bottled water. Make sure it's cold. Put it in the freezer somewhere. If you're at a hotel, buy cold water before you leave. And make sure it's cold. If not, have them put it in the freezer for you, because if you're at somewhere, you're going to need it cold, and it's going to be 2-3 hours later and it's still hot. And I do not like hot water myself. I always had cold water with me all my life. I don't know if it's good for you or not, but it's something I'm used to. So walking across the road, as I said, no air conditioning. Malls are better than the USA. It's a big statement to make, isn't it? It's true. Malls are better here in the Philippines than they are in the USA. What do I mean by that? They're cleaner. They're nicer. Some cases they're bigger. Some cases you go 4 stories. Now they may be more compact and maybe not as, they don't have the anchor stores like they do Dillard's and JCPenney's and Targets and all the anchor stores that they have, Sears, which is a lot of those gone out of business. But here in the Philippines, anchor store is usually a supermarket. And the mall is usually owned by the supermarket chain itself. SM, Robinson's. There's another one called Pure Gold. They have a Gaisano Mall. They have a Gaisano grocery store. Is the food okay here in the Philippines? The food is actually excellent here in the Philippines. It depends on your taste and where you come from and what you do. Culture shock can be your food. So make sure you kind of plan for that. If you're used to your digestion used to a certain type of food, be prepared. It's going to be a little different. So be careful what you eat. And what I mean by that is make sure you know who's preparing the food for you. Did they prepare it with their water, city water? Did they prepare it with water out of the well? Did they prepare the food? How was the food prepared? So make sure you really take a look at that. It's really going to matter. And it's going to matter on your stomach, believe me. It's still, sometimes I still do the reason, who made that? Oh, okay, I know it's okay. Because it's not saying, they're just used to the water here. It's nothing against it. They're just used to the water here. And they can drink water. They can drink it right out of the tap. We cannot. Well, you can. You can drink all you want out of the tap. It made me sick. So, washer and dryer. Oh, do they have a dryer here? No. Do they have them? Yes. They have dryers here, but you very rarely ever see one. I have a sister-in-law that she actually has a dryer and a washing machine dryer. Korean, of course. They've had it for years. Yes, they do have dryers and washing machines. You'll find that most people still do it by hand. They still do it all by hand. I'm kind of rushing through these really fast. No reason. I'm just rushing through these. I have so many to talk about today. TV is different. So, there's a lot of areas where they still don't have TV. Believe it or not, you'll find that the neighbors sometimes will have a TV and the neighbors will come over and watch TV with the other neighbor, and that happens. Where I live, maybe not in Manila, maybe not in Cebu, but where I live, you'll find that everybody kind of shares everything. And if they get something out of the garden, you may find it on your table that night. So that's really nice about them. Fridges, believe it or not everybody has a fridge here. And not everybody has a TV. Not everybody has a wash machine. Not everybody has really, in some cases, a sink inside the house. Some cases they have a sink outside at the dirty kitchen. So it depends who you are and where you live and what they're about. It depends what type of house it is. If it's a bamboo house or if it's a hut or if it's a standard house. We've seen regular houses being built now where they have kitchens, of course. But before, a lot of times they just had a dirty kitchen outside and never had a kitchen inside. Do they drink coffee here? They drink coffee here. They drink quite a bit of coffee here, but they don't drink it like we do in the States. In the States, a culture shock is, I'll have another cup of coffee. Well, you already had one. I'll have another. No, you've already had one cup. That's enough. Now, I'll have another cup. I may have 3 or 4 more cups. But here in the Philippines, they have 1 cup. And I usually, being where I come from, my industry that I came from, we had coffee morning, noon, and night. Because of the long hours I worked, I always had a cup of coffee. I may not have it at lunchtime, but I would have 1 in the morning and sometimes 1 in the afternoon or evening to kind of give me a pick-me-up to make it till 9, 10 o'clock, where I've been there at 6, 7, 8 in the morning. So it happens. There is a lot of culture shock. You'll find once you get off the plane that sometimes the smells will be a little bit different for you. You may not realize it, but even the smells. And what I mean by smells, a lot of times what they do, they vent the sewage and vent the lines out to the street. And it's nothing against anything. It's just the way that it's been done. It's been done that way for years. You may go in an area where the sewage is dumped out or the shower water itself is dumped out. Now they're making a lot of sanitation areas where they're actually making them have the septic put in the ground. But the showers will not be with the septic, and neither will the sinks or the sink water or things like that. So when you're washing the dishes and that sink water and the rice and whatever's left on that plate or the fish or whatever goes right out to the street or goes right out wherever on the ground outside the house, however it's set up. But where I lived in 2 other places in town, they had it branched out to the street. And I noticed in Davao in a lot of areas, they still have it branched out to the street. They're actually cleaning up some of that in some of the areas. In CDO, they're actually making them make some type of a septic system for that holding tank with kind of like a leach field. So it actually drains out into the yard or things like that, which is really ideal. That's what you really need to do, just to create a leach field effect. Kids, believe it or not, here in the Philippines, you're not going to believe this. They just created a new law here in the Philippines. Kids will no longer do homework in the Philippines. I don't know how far it goes and how much, but we just heard the law, and our school is now enforcing the law of no homework in the Philippines. So before she'd get out of school, she would come home and do her homework. Now there is no homework in the Philippines from from now on until. So why is there no homework in the Philippines? I don't know. I really don't know. I could try to answer, but I have no idea. They gave a reason, but it wasn't really a very good reason at all. But now R comes home from school. She has no homework from now on. She never has. She may have a project that she has to do, maybe a singing competition. She has to sing or dance or something like that. But other than that, she has no more homework, and she doesn't have any projects she used to have, which kind of worries me a little bit. Because of the classes and why they're doing classes now and why they're doing things, are they really going to learn? I don't know. That concerns me quite a bit. So really, that's a big factor for me. So traffic lights, cameras on the lights. They're actually having cameras on the lights now. You can actually get a ticket. If you go on yellow, it's a ticket. If you go on red, it's a ticket. It has to be green solid. Even if you go green solid and you get over halfway through it and it turns yellow on you, you get a ticket here in the Philippines. It's happened. It's happened to us on a bus. Hey, that's a rhyme. Us on a bus. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching. I did run through these really quick. I didn't expand on them too much. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Please subscribe and hit like.